OGDuffy with my top 5 beat-em-up arcade games. Now this is a genre that was huge back in the day. There were so many games of this ilk and genre. I mean, there's examples here, Dungeons and Dragons by Capcom. Several of Dungeons and Dragon themed ones there were. They were amazing. I mean, you got that Alien Storm there by Sega. They were all in on it. You had Sega, Capcom, Konami. They were all producing these style of games. But for me, there is 5 that stand out that I still play to this very day, and one in particular that I just have so much love and passion for. Oh yes indeed. But we will come to them all, I am sure. But you know what we need, don't you? It's warm tonight. Oh yes, let's go grab a beer. Before we get to that top 5, beer of choice is Krombacher. I think this is German. I think it's about 4.8% volume. And yeah, it's a German Pilsner. Being a lager, of course. Let's get that poured up in a Camden Hell's pint glass. But hey ho, it is what it is, so to speak. There we go. Oh, this is nice and cold. It's been in that beer fridge of mine for just about 5 days now, so it's perfectly chilled, people, because it's very warm tonight. Oh yes, here we go. Oh, it's gorgeous. I've had it before. Anyway, on to them games. Before we get to this, a bit of a disclaimer. I don't profess to having played every single game in this genre, because there are loads. I mean, one that springs to mind is Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Got absolutely amazing rave reviews, but confession time, guys, I had never played it. I'm always saying it. There's too many games, not enough time. Might even give it a play sometime in the future, so it doesn't make my top 5. But during this, please do debate in the comments whether you agree or disagree with my, you know, top 5. But not just that, suggest ones I haven't mentioned or ones I have missed. Because one of them that has made my top 5 was suggested by one of you good people. And if it wasn't that for suggestion, I would never have played it. So, onwards and upwards, let's go to it. In 5th position, we have, although I said this is a top 5, in 5th position, it is joint. And I'm hoping you can see why. It is in joint 5th. We've got The Simpsons Arcade by Konami. This was a brilliant game back in the day. I mean, it was so thematic and spot on with the whole theme of The Simpsons. It was a 4-player game. 4 of you could play simultaneously on one arcade cab. That made it truly unique in itself. Not just that, the gameplay was brilliant. And Konami, if there's one thing they could do, it was this style of game. So of course you know what comes jointly in 5th position, and it is this, guys. Oh yes, also a Konami game, Teenage Mutant, we'll go Ninja Turtles, but hey, some of you might know it as Hero Turtles because hey, growing up here in the UK, you know what? The government didn't think we were responsible enough to use words like ninja. But both of these games by Konami, true classics. They need no introduction. I'm sure you all know them. Anyway, joint 5th, maybe I've cheated a bit there, maybe I haven't. But in joint 5th, 2 Konami classics, The Simpsons and The Turtles. In position number 4, we have. It is another Konami game. Oh yes, they were very good at this genre. Vendetta. Now, confession time, I had never played this. This is that game I said at the beginning of the video that one of you great people introduced me to. I think it's Alcon, my man Alcon. He said, "Oh gee, have you played Vendetta? Give it a play, it's brilliant." And I was like, because I get so many suggestions, you know, play this, play that and all that. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a play. And I left it for a bit and I gave it a play. And what a game that is. I put credit after credit after credit in and I played it right through. It's such a great game. It really is. I mean, you have choice of characters and stuff and there's some very dodgy bits in it. I do think it was a bit controversial in some parts of the world for the sort of the red light district area in the game, shall we say. But anyway, that's our top 5 and 4 done with 3 games, all Konami. So, what makes third position? I'm going to have to get another beer real soon, mate. I'll tell you, it's so warm tonight. And these games are hot, hot, hot. Remember, drop in the comments your suggestions and whether you agree with this top 5 or not. Anyway, talking of top 5, let's go take a look at number 3. And in third position, I figure this one's going to be quite controversial because I would imagine quite a few of you would probably have this as your number 1. This was quite a revolutionary game for the time. It was probably one of the top in the genre, easy. And it is Final Fight by Capcom. The one standout thing for me with Final Fight, what I truly loved about it, is the size of the sprite characters. But although the characters and the graphics were large on it, it didn't detract from the gameplay at all. It was just so well done. And the amount of enemies on screen at any one time, you would imagine with the game sprites being that large that it would struggle, but it doesn't at all. It's just such good game. I mean, it follows a typical sort of synopsis as many of this genre followed. Yes, the girl's gone missing, we must go and rescue her. You'd think they can't say a bit more imaginative, wouldn't you, really? But anyway, that's Final Fight. Let's take a closer look at it. So this is it, Final Fight. You had a choice of 3 characters. You had Guy, Cody and Hagar. I always went for Hagar. He was like the big fella. And it's his daughter you're actually going to rescue. But I won't show a lot of it because I'm sure we already know it. But do you see what I mean about the character sprite sizes? Look at the size of them. It's very simple play. You had like a jump and an attack button, and that was it. That's all it needed. You could combine them like that to do another move, or tap the 2 together. And each character obviously had their own different form of attack, special moves and the like. Everything on this game, of course, is smashable. Yes, and it's the usual stuff that you sort of get dropped. With this, you had lives and you had a health bar, okay? Items were dropped that you can collect. Some give points, some give you extra health. But I'm sure you get the idea. It was just such a big game. Lots of smashables, and there were weapons available. Here, nice can of beer and a sandwich that looked like it had a piece of lettuce. A knife, let's grab that. Oh, and I threw it, unfortunately, at the wrong person. It bounced off the railing. But you get the idea. The size of the graphics, the game didn't slow as well. It would get busy with loads of enemies on screen, and it never slowed. There we go, got us a nice sword now. He drops the sword because he's off down to the next level. But Final Fight, it's a true classic. But my question to you guys, should I have scored it higher? Comment. So that was number 3, Final Fight. Probably quite a controversial decision, only putting it in third. But hey, it is what it is, isn't it? Hey. Oh, let's grab another beer. And then let's get to 2 and then 1. I think you're going to like these. That Krombacher beer was all right. It got me going. But next up, we've got a Staropramen. I can never pronounce this, so excuse me. I would just call it a strap-on. Pint of strap-on, please. Anyway, it's a Prague beer. It's 5%. But what's good about this bottle, it's a 660ml bottle, so it should last a little bit longer than that Krombacher did. Oh, yes, he says. Indeed. Anyway, as I say, what a genre of games these were on the arcade. And while we're discussing this genre, really, we can't forget the console systems from back in the day. Oh no. Although never released on the arcade, we can't talk about this whole beat-em-up genre without mentioning a certain game from the Mega Drive. There was 3 in total. You know what they are. And if you didn't know what they are, you should know what they are. And of course it is these, the Streets of Rage game. That one there is Streets of Rage 2. I have played Streets of Rage 1 and Streets of Rage 3, but this is the only one I own. Streets of Rage 2, they were just brilliant, weren't they, for the time? But obviously, this cannot be included in this top 5 because it's a console game and not an arcade game. But credit is due. Anyway, let's get back to my strap 'em on beer and get to number 2. Second position. A game that really needs no introduction at all. I don't think I've never met anybody in retro gaming in particular who has a bad word to say about this game. It is Golden Axe by Sega. Let's be honest, in this genre of time, you know, Sega ruled the arcades, didn't they? I know we're going a bit off piece, so to speak, with Outrun and Space Harrier and, you know, all them great Afterburner and stuff like that. But when Sega made an arcade game, my God, did they make an arcade game? And this was absolutely no exception at all. Golden Axe holds a lot of great memories for me, this one. Before we get into my memories of Golden Axe, the pint of strap 'em on. Slightly darker beer than the others, but just delicious. Oh yes. Anyway, Golden Axe, my memories of it. At the time when this was released, I was massively into Dungeons and Dragons and all that sort of good stuff, you know. I mean, fantasy at the time was huge. And me and my mates, yeah, we were just massively into all sorts of fantasy. We'd buy White Dwarf magazine, all that stuff, the Fighting Fantasy books, remember them? Anyway, I digress, as always. Golden Axe. This was just such a great playable game. Them little goblins would come along and drop the specials and all that sort of stuff. And you had a choice again of 3 characters. I always went for the dwarf. I don't know why, I just did. Who was your go-to character on this? Anyway, let's go take a closer look. Golden Axe, you choose your character. As I say, I always went for the dwarf guy. Again, very simple style of play. No too complicated, no major, you know, special moves or anything. There's a little story to follow, and this time you were not rescuing a damsel in distress. With this one, you had jump, you had the attack. Again, you could jump and attack while in the air like that. You could get little dragons and beasts to ride that had different powers. Some had like a whipping tail, others would shoot fire. Again, with this, you get different levels of enemy. Some big, some small. But you had this as well, which is a special. But as you can see, helps you out a bit. But we'll come to that in a minute when my little goblin friend shows an appearance. That's if I get that far. I'm not doing particularly well. Anyway, right, go, 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 go. Here he is. So you give him a little boot and he drops them bottles. And as you can see now, up here it shows you magic levels. But you know what? You guys probably already know this stuff. And talking of the beastie things to ride, there's one. Let's see if we kick her off. Oh, can't quite reach it. It's off the screen. Let them get on it. That's it. Oh. And then we'll get on that thing and I'll show you how it works. Right, so here we go. Oh, get rid of the enemies first. So, I'm now on it. I can whip with my tail. The fire-breathing one was always the best. Used to shoot sort of fire bolts. With these goblins as well, you get green goblins, which drop food instead of potions. I'm now at full level with my potions. There we go. But it was such a great game. It really was. Now, this is sort of the end of level bosses for this section. So you get the general idea. It goes on. Again, you could have cooperative play by introducing somebody else into the game. But do you know what time it is, guys? No, it's not beer o'clock. It's let's find out what my number 1 is. And my number 1 may not come as much as a surprise to some of you, is Double Dragon. 1987 by Technos. This game was... Oh, I'll be absolutely honest with you, and you may disagree, and feel free to. If it wasn't for Double Dragon, I don't think you'd have the likes of Final Fight and your Golden Axes and all that sort of game. I really, really don't think you would. I think this is the one that started the real delge of them. We had loads of this sort of genre of game, but I think this was the one that opened the floodgates. I think this was so well done and such a masterpiece of a game that I think this is the one that started it all. It really did. Now, it was developed by a guy who did a Renegade originally. So what made this really unique and different? Well, firstly, it was a two-player cooperative game. There's two brothers, Billy and Lee, I believe, or Billy Lee, and I can't remember the other's name now. Drop in the comments for me. And you would have to fight to go and rescue your girlfriend. Not just that. As you were fighting everything else and making your way through all the various levels, you could also attack each other, which was quite revolutionary as well. So you didn't have to work together if you didn't want to. But the real twist in this game was at the very end level. You enter the base, and as you enter, your girlfriend's dangling from a rope. Yes. And there's a gang of nasty enemies there, one with a machine gun. Once you defeat all them enemies, and they are tough, it's not over. If you're in a two-player cooperative game, you've then got to face off against each other, and you have to fight each other to the death to see who wins the girl's hand. Quite extreme, but what a great, great concept. I love this game, in case I haven't banged on about enough. Honestly, it's just so groundbreaking for me. Unfortunately, it didn't convert to the home systems very well, but we're not here to discuss them. We're here to discuss the arcade classic and why it is my #1 go-to in this genre. Let's go take a closer look at the classic that is Double Dragon and the OGDuffy's #1 beat 'em up. Pumping a credit in. Now, obviously, I'm out in the games room on my own. So that's the bad guy at the end. Look at him with his machine gun. So I'll be playing it on my own. Okay, obviously, because I'm only here. Right, there was a punch and a kick and a jump. Okay, now, as you can see there, my favourite was this. I loved catching them and then taking them straight into the knee. Now, this is crucial. If you tap two buttons together like that, I think that's jump and kick. If you've got your back to the enemy like there, it delivers the elbow move. Now, if you are serious about completing the game, that's the move and the timing you have to master, because no enemy can get past that move. Bit of a cheat, but you know what? It doesn't bother me. What else do I love about this game? Okay, apart from graphically and the sound, it was just amazing to play. Me and my mates would go in the arcade and we would all go to this machine. This was always our go-to. And if I ever went anywhere with my parents and there was an arcade there, this was the machine I'd always go and look for. Namely because when I would go to it, it was usually busy in arcades. So if you could go to an arcade and find this where no one was playing it, you were quite lucky. You could have the machine, you know, to play. So that was good. And a story that I've told you before, I think it was in the Q&A, an arcade local to us had this, and there was a lad there, and he used to get on this machine with his mum, but she would never play. Oh, no. She used to just stand there as his bodyguard, whilst we would all put our money into play, and he used to just attack us constantly. So he was such a awful little boy, nasty git. But his mum was there simply for protection. Should have spiked her a cup of tea or something, you know what I mean? So she had to run off to the loo. Where's my son gone? We don't know. He lost at the machine, had a tantrum. But anyway, you get the idea. I love this. Also, with this game, the soundtrack. I love the music on this. And every level you get to in the game features a different sort of soundtrack. And they're all great, memorable arcade tunes. So they're all the positives. There is one negative. And you might have started to notice it about now. and it suffers slowdown. This game, although to me is perfect, there is a fault, and it is the slowdown. Here he comes, Mr. T, I used to call him. Great, great game. And the cat, I always remember the cat on the bin. He was cool. But this is the elbow move. Always use your elbow. Just get it timed. Except for then, I was too close to him. But you get the idea. Such a brilliant game. And my deserved #1. Oh, yes. Anyway, do you agree or disagree? Let's get to the summary on this. Double Dragon makes my #1 on my top 5 beat-em-ups. Anyway, guys, over to you. As I said right at the beginning of this, that's just my thoughts. And the problem with doing any sort of top 5s or any sort of top 10s or anything really is it can change on any given day. But I'll be honest, I think that top 5 I gave you there was pretty solid. Especially in 5th position where I had 2 games. So maybe I cheated a little, but hey, I'm worth it. It's a great genre of game. It's just superb. You can very rarely do these sort of games on a single credit. You have to use your always continue. But what a genre. Now, over to you. Do you remember all these? Are these new to you? Have you not brought up in the arcade era like I was, so you're not sure on these? If not, and you haven't played them, emulate them. Go, play them, but play them in the arcade form. Don't go and pick them up on the NES or the SNES or whatever. Some of them are great conversions, but the arcade originals, that's where it's at. It's the best. It's like taking a Beatles song, right? And a classic Beatles song like Sgt. Pepper's, and giving it to, I don't know, who's a really puppy artist, or I can't say. Anyway, you get the idea. And then all covering it, it's just not going to be the same. It's not going to be Sgt. Pepper's, is it? Anyway, that's my excuse. That's my argument. Now, also, did you enjoy this top 5? If so, drop in the comments and I might make some more. Top 5 shoot-em-ups, top 5 this, top 5 that. I might not. Depends how it's received, guys. But it's been great fun for me to visit. And Double Dragon always does it for me. Anyway, this strap-on beer is for Double Dragon. An absolute classic. If you disagree, be pleasant about it. But let me hear your thoughts, please. I'd love to hear what you think. And any hidden gems in this niche that I haven't touched on, that I need to play. Because remember, Vendetta was one I'd never played until it was suggested by my man Alcon. Anyway, guys, cheers. I've been OGDuffy. You've been awesome. Do all that great stuff you do. But comment is most important. Like, share. Hey, you can even subscribe. But I'm sure you do already. I hope you do. And if you don't, check. Because some people think they're subscribed and they're not. Yeah, strange thing, but it's true. Anyway, this beer is for you guys. And to our deserved winner, Double Dragon. Cheers. I'll see you all on the next one.